Today is June 6th, the anniversary of D-Day, when American troops joined Allied forces, changing the course of World War II to bring down Hitler's tyranny. On today's anniversary, thousands of veterans and families are gathering right now for the United for Veterans, Unite for America rally at the National Mall. They're demanding protections for veterans' jobs, health care, and essential VA services that are being cut by the Trump administration. Joining me now from where it will kick off in just over an hour, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona. Melanie, tell us more about this rally and what you're hearing from folks there.
Yeah, so this rally obviously comes on the anniversary of D-Day, but it also comes against the backdrop of the DOGE cost-cutting mission. And I got to tell you, Chris, there's a lot of concern in talking to veterans about how that cost-cutting mission might impact the Veterans Affairs Department, including critical services like access to health care, which can already be really difficult for veterans to receive. Now, the administration insists that they are not going to cut any health care or any retirement benefits. And Trump's budget for the Veterans Affairs Department does include a proposed increase net overall for the VA, but the administration has also admitted that it is looking to streamline the VA, including with as many as 80,000 staff cuts. And so the goal of this rally is to really highlight that issue and really start a grassroots movement. We're expecting 1,000, as you can see, some veterans already trickling in. We're expecting as many as 2,000 veterans to descend on the Capitol today. There's going to be speakers on the stage behind me, also a performance from the punk rock band Dropkick Murphys. And it's all happening with the Capitol directly behind them. And Chris, that is the audience that these veterans are hoping to reach, because it's Congress that has the power ultimately at the end of the day to either stop these cuts or to greenlight those cuts. And in the next few months, there is going to be a spending showdown on Capitol Hill. So that is where we're expecting a lot of these issues, including potential staff cuts to the VA, to play out.
Melanie Zanona, thank you for that. Now I want to bring in Chris Purdy, U.S. Army National Guard veteran and CEO of the Chamberlain Network, a veterans empowerment organization, and also a lead organizer of today's rally. Chris, thanks for coming on. Tell us about the rally. What's at risk here that you think that they had to organize this?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is about jobs, it's about health care, absolutely. But really at the heart of it, what we are out there rallying for is our democracy. Because what we know is, the executive is cutting these jobs that are going to impact the veteran community, people like me who served after 9/11 and gave so much for this country. And what we're telling the president and the administration is, if you're going to do this, you can't just do it unilaterally. It needs to go through the people's house. It needs to go through Congress. And the people need to have a voice in this process. So we're out there today. It's going to be a great show. We're really proud that Dropkick Murphys is going to be there. We have lots of veterans and veteran service organizations, or Afghanistan Vets America, Burn Pits 360, lots of other groups who have been part of this movement for a long time are coming out and showing support. So we're excited.
Since the cuts began, I wonder what you've been hearing from fellow veterans.
Yeah. Well, I could just tell you my own personal experience. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, as I said, and I get my health care through the VA, and I'm there almost every week for a variety of issues. And when I walk through the halls, I hear it on the lips of the service providers, the healthcare workers. They're nervous. They're very concerned. They're talking about the cuts. They're talking about the things that they are seeing that this administration is doing. And I've been going to the VA for years, and I've never heard healthcare providers talk politics. And now it's all I can hear about. And if you can look me in the eye and tell me that that's not impacting the quality of care, I just don't think anybody can do that. I wouldn't believe it if they tried. So it's quality of care, it's our benefits, and it's our broader democracy that we're out there protesting for.
Let me show you some recent headlines. Recent months. February, Defense Secretary Hegseth says the Pentagon will cut roughly $50 billion from non-lethal programs. In April, another $5 billion plus from what Hegseth called wasteful contracts. Just yesterday, members of Congress were visibly frustrated that plans to modernize the Army that were submitted didn't have a budget blueprint. Do these things help accomplish the administration's stated goal, which is to strengthen the military and our national security?
Yeah, I'm not sure how one cuts the military and cuts veterans care and think that's actually going to help this country. What we should be investing in is the services for our veterans and ensuring that the military has what it needs to get the job done. I just don't see how you can reduce the size of the Army, for example, with all that's going on right now and still expect to accomplish the mission.
In just over a week, Washington, D.C. will host what President Trump is calling a once-in-a-lifetime military parade. It marks the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army and also his birthday at an estimated cost of $25 to $45 million, depending on who's doing the estimate. What are your thoughts, given the cuts that you're protesting today?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I could care less about the parade. I mean, I'm an Army vet. It's the Army's birthday. I'm proud of that. But $50 million on a parade, I'm not going to be here.
This afternoon, President Trump took to social media to promote the military parade he is hosting next week to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, a day that just so happens to also be Donald John Trump's birthday.
For 2.5 centuries, the men and women of America's Army have dominated our enemies and protected our freedom at home. This parade salutes our soldiers' remarkable strength and unbeatable spirit. You won't want to miss it. Just don't miss this one. It's going to be good. Thundering tanks and breathtaking flyovers will roar through our capital city as nearly 7,000 soldiers march in historic uniforms from every major war since the Revolution.
The Esplanade. At the same time, thousands of former service members were gathering on the National Mall to protest cuts to Veterans Affairs. Listen to what one veteran told our colleague Melanie Zanona.
This is very much about veterans, and it shouldn't be a party-based issue, in my opinion. Yeah.
So you don't see this rally as like an anti-Trump or anti-administration rally? This
Well,
is
it can be anti-administration as long as he remains anti-veteran.
And you see Donald Trump in this moment as
Very much as anti-veteran.
Okay, so let's just level set on this parade. The Army estimates it is going to cause $16 million in damage to the streets of Washington, D.C. That is part of a $45 million overall price tag. The major airports in the area will be closed. And, of course, it is Donald Trump's birthday. The man who defended his tariffs by saying that maybe little girls will have to get $2 this Christmas instead of 30. Can you reconcile this for me?
It's unreconcilable. I mean, well, we got to take care of family first, our veterans. And we have farm workers that are going to food banks. In what world? I mean, look, we know this gentleman is all about himself.
Sure.
And we are here to serve him. He's not here to serve us. Kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe we could just hire somebody to sing happy birthday to him.
And that'll be that. Michael, the Republican chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee said he would have recommended against the parade. And he is not alone in worrying about this cost. What are your thoughts here?
Well, first off, I agree with Stephen. I love that sing happy birthday. We'll all pitch in. I got $1.25. I'm ready to do it. Look, yeah, I appreciate Mr. Wicker's, well, if I had a chance to look at this a little closer, I would object. I mean, you knew this was coming. This has been announced for some time.
Here is veterans saying, we give up on Trump. We give up on Trumpism. Soldiers saying, people who have fought for their country, who generally don't just give up on former presidents. So there's a few veterans, obviously, that are super political, that have been in the past. And obviously veterans, like anybody else, has the right to vote. And often they do vote, and they vote for a particular party. But they often still recognize, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that for most of American history, that it's like, well, the president's the president. Whether I'm in the military now or not, that is the commander-in-chief of the current military. And I wish them well, because if I don't wish them well, that means the servicemen and women still in might suffer. But with Trump, it's like he is actively trying to make the lives of military people, whether it's current service people or former service people, and of course future service people, worse, all while glorifying himself. They're not only making cuts to the things that service people and veterans and all of them and their families need, You know, times are tough. We need to do austerity. It's coming at a time where there is trillions in tax cuts for the rich, and Trump gets his fancy military parade. How would anyone still be loyal to Trump? I would quit on Trump and Trumpism too. Again, I know you can't just leave the military in many cases, but if this guy, loyalty to Trump, true loyalty to him, I wouldn't have it.